Alright, this begins Chapter 4, Lesson 1, Dealing with Greatest Common Factor. And I apologize, I'm going to kind of move things around because I have this terrible wicked glare going. And I'm really trying to minimize that. So, I apologize. I think I'm fixed now. So, dealing with greatest common factor. But before we get into that, let's see how much you remember from Chapter 3. So, dealing with adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing decimals. So, we're going to take 43 and 489 thousandths plus 71 and 156 thousandths. Is it A, 114 and 745 thousandths, B, 114 and 645 thousandths, C, 114 and 635 thousandths, or D, 113 and 345 thousandths? And your answer is... Now we're going to take 87 and 49 hundredths, and from that we are going to subtract 4 and 239 thousandths. Is the answer A, 83 and 701 thousandths, B, 83 and 260 thousandths, C, 83 and 251 thousandths, or D, 83 and 161 thousandths? Make sure you are pausing the video and taking time to actually solve these problems out on your own. And your answer is... So now we're going to take 2 and 62 hundredths times 4 and 15 hundredths. Is the answer A, 6 and 70 hundredths, B, 10 and 873 thousandths, D, 11 and 9 tenths, or C, 12 and 783 thousandths? And your answer is... Now we're going to find 96 and 4 tenths divided by 4. Is the answer A, 21 and 4 tenths, B, 21 and 7 tenths, C, 21 and 1 tenth, 24 and 1 tenth, or D, 42 and 1 tenth? And your answer is... Now we're going to take 3 and 88 hundredths divided by 97 hundredths. Is the answer A, 2 and 4 tenths, B, 3 and 2 tenths, C, 3 and 8 tenths, or D, 4? And your answer is 4. Michaela bought a picture frame that cost $9. Let's try that again. $6.95. A candle that cost $3.25, and a bottle of lotion that cost $5.85. Which of the following is the most reasonable total for the items purchased? In other words, you can round up these numbers. It's like the problem solving that you would have done on Tuesday. The answer A, $16, B, $18, C, $20, or D, $21? And your answer is... So now today what we're going to do is we're going to find the greatest common factor of 2 or more numbers. So one way to go ahead and show it's a visual representation is a Venn diagram that shows the interlocking circles where you can talk about numbers that are different and numbers that are the same. So common factors are any number that is divisible in a number. So like a common factor of any even number is going to be 2. A common factor of... it's just numbers that are easily divisible. Obviously, 1 is a common factor of all numbers. Now, the greatest common factor is the largest number that is divisible into a given number. So if we took 24, and it's where you're comparing 24 and 36, if you look at what numbers do these two numbers share as factors, the largest of those two, the largest number that they both share is your greatest common factor. So today what we're going to do is we're going to identify some common factors of 20 and 36. So we're just going to list the factors by pairs, and then we're just going to identify the ones that are the same. Sorry about that. So the common factors are 1, 2, and 4. So now we're going to identify the common factors of 24 and 42. Are they A, 1, 2, and 3, B, 1, 6, and 12, C, 1, 2, 3, and 6, or D, 1, 2, 3, 6, and 8? Which numbers do both 24 and 42 share? And your answer is... Now we're going to find the greatest common factor by listing factors. So we're going to find the greatest common factor of 36 and 48. So we're going to make an organized list of the factors for each number. Just list them out. And then list out the ones for 48. And then just identify the largest number that is in both of those groups. And they're going to go through and identify all the common factors, but they're not asking us to find the common factor, they're asking to find the largest of the two. And so it looks like the greatest common factor is 12. Now, one way that they can go through is show this with a Venn diagram, where you can see all the numbers in the green are both factors of 36 and 48, whereas the numbers in blue are just factors of 36, and in the yellow, the numbers are just factors of 48. And so then by using this Venn diagram, you can see that the greatest common factor is 12. So find the greatest common factor of 45 and 75. Is it A3, B5, C9, or D15? The nice thing about when it's multiple guess like this, you can just try both numbers and see if they divide, try all the numbers and see if they divide into both numbers, and then you know if it really is the greatest common factor or not. And your answer is D. Now we're going to use finding the greatest common factor by using prime factors. This is my preferred way of finding the greatest common factor, especially when I get a bunch of numbers that I don't know the factors to off the top of my head. So we're going to find the greatest common factor of 52 and 78. So we can write the prime factorization. This is not the way I recommend going about doing it. Oh, wait a minute. No, I'm sorry. This is the way I recommend you going about doing it, because what goofed me up is they didn't say use a factor tree. These are using factor trees where you just use your factors, and so when you compare the two, since 22 and 36 are the common factors, then we can divide by prime numbers. This is not the way I recommend doing it, because first of all, it looks as confusing as all get out. Either way, you still get the common factors are 2 and 13. It's just that you have to do this division and they want you to go upside down, and if you're comfortable with it, go right ahead. This is, like I said, using the factor tree is my preferred method. So, but regardless, you end up getting prime factors of 2 and 13, which means the greatest common factor is 2 times 13, which is 26. So now we're going to find the greatest common factor of 64 and 80. Same thing here, you can go through and divide these possible answers into both 64 and 80 and see if you get a number that goes in evenly to both. So answer A4, B8, C16, or D32. And your answer is? So now we're going to use the greatest common factor to solve a problem. So Anna is selling bags of different kinds of cookies. She made $27 selling bags of peanut butter cookies, 18 from chocolate chip, and 45 from selling oatmeal cookies. Each bag of cookies costs the same amount. What is the most that Anna could charge for each bag of cookies? So in other words, what is the greatest common factor between these three numbers? So the list of factors of 18, the factors of 27, and the factors of 45. And then the largest number that you see there (9) is the greatest common factor. So what she charged for is 9 cookies, $9 for a bag of cookies. So now Sarah made boxes of different kinds of candy for a school fundraiser. She made $24 selling hard candy, $40 from taffy, and $64 from chocolates. Each box of candy cost the same amount. So what is the most that Sarah could charge for each box of candy? In other words, what is the greatest common factor between 24, 40, and 64? Is your answer A, $6, B, $8, C, $10, or D, $12? And your answer is B. So now, Anna again is selling different kinds of cookies. She made $27 selling peanut butter cookies, $18 from chocolate chip, and $45 from oatmeal. How many bags could Anna have sold if each bag costs $9? So now this is just taking it to the next step, where you're figuring out how many of each bag does she sell. So we are going to, she has $90 total, and so we take our total amount divided by 9, and that's 10. If you wanted, you would go ahead and not necessarily do it in that order. When I go through, I would say, okay, well, 27 divided by 9 is 3, 45 divided by 9 is 5, and 18 divided by 9 is 2. 3 plus 5 plus 2 still gives you 10 bags. It's just a different way to go about solving it. It's just, the idea that there's more than one way to solve a good math problem. So now Sarah makes boxes of different kinds of candy for the school fundraiser. She made $24 selling hard candy, $40 from taffy, and $64 from chocolates. How many boxes could Sarah have sold if each box cost $8? So you can go ahead and add up the total dollar amount that she sold and then divide by 8, or divide each individual amount by 8 and then add up the total number of boxes. Is it A, 8 boxes, 11 boxes, 13 boxes, or 16 boxes? And your answer is? And that concludes your lesson.